Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai. Different beat. Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai. 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 Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Radha, Radha. Radha, Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe, Radhe, Jai Shri 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 Radhe, Bhisma Radha, Govinda Jayo Jayo Radha, Govinda Jayo Jayo Radha, Govinda Jayo Jayo Radha, Govinda Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai Radha, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jayo Jayo, Govinda Jai Gopala Jai Govinda Jai Gopala Jai Radha. Hey Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Radha, Radha, Hey Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Govinda Jai Jai Radha. Shri Radha Govinda Jai Jai Shri Radha Govinda Shri Radha Govinda Jai Jai Radha Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Hey Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Radha Hey Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Radha Govinda Jai Jai Radha. Hey Radha Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai Govinda Jai Jai Gopala Jai Jai. Jai Gopanandi. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Bolo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, everyone again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Ji, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo, Hare Krishna. Son of Nanda, I've fallen to the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your lotus feet. You want to try it? Oh, son of Nanda, I've fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. I just want to be an atom at your feet. I want to be an atom at your feet. Everyone, I want to be an atom at your feet. I want to be an atom at your feet. One more time. I want to be an atom at your feet. I want to be an atom at your feet. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Want to be an atom at your feet. Want to be an atom at your feet. I want to be an atom at your feet. I want to be an atom at your feet. I want to be an atom at your feet. I'm only kidding. I want to be the biggest, best, greatest devotee. So actually, or you could sing. You could sing. A piece of dust at your lotus feet. Just want to be a piece of dust at your feet. I just want to be a piece of dust, dust, dust at your lotus feet. In case you didn't know, that's why you joined the Hare Krishna movement, to become a piece of dust. Did anyone tell you? Now you know. Now you can run out the door if you can't do it. Can you turn off the delay? Can you turn it off, the delay? Krishna. Yeah, it's delay. And they use that in recording and live. You can't tell when you're singing. It just makes you sound like you're more than one person. Krishna, Krishna. Yeah, good. Mam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvises. Today is Bhisma Panchaka, or the last day in the disappearance of Bhismadeva. Anybody know? No, we don't know, but we're going to talk about Bhismadeva. Bhisma. Bhisma means terrible. So you'd think, well, what kind of name is that to give somebody? Terrible, but it also means terrible in a good way. Terribly powerful. But it also means horrible. Can you imagine your parents gave you the name terrible and your middle name was horrible, your first name was terrible. and your last name was frightening. This is kind of what his name means. He was born Devavrata, but he was given this name by the gods. So we're going to discuss Bhismadeva and the significance of his name. We can talk about that the whole evening because we can explore it. So it's a long history, but Bhismadeva is the son of Ganga, so he's also known as Ganga Putra. He has many names related to the Ganga as the son of the Ganga. His father, Maharaj Shantanu, saw this beautiful woman and he proposed to her. There are a lot of stories like that. Love at first sight, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, love at first sight stories. She said, okay, I'll marry you, but don't question anything I do. And if you do, I leave. And every son they had, she put in the Ganga and drowned. 7 sons. It's a backstory. She was supposed to do it. It wasn't like there was something wrong with her. These were Vasus that were cursed to come to earth, but then they begged for a blessing and said, okay, you can just be born and come back, but one of you has to stay, and that one was Bhishma, because his wife had, what had she done? Made some offense. Stole a cow. They stole it. Her wife said, steal that Kamadhenu cow from Rashishta. Not a good idea. So, the 8th child is born, and he's seen 7 children thrown and drowned in the Ganga, and she never told him why. So the 8th one, he's like, I can't deal with this. He said, why did you do that? He said, okay, you can have him. You question me, I'm gone. And so that was Devavrata, who became Bhismadeva. So he grew up, as we know. Eventually he became this great warrior. And so how did he get his name? Bhishma, because that was not his name. Devavrata, his father Shantanu met the daughter of a fisherman and fell in love and wanted to marry her. Her name was Satyavati. And the father said, you already have a son. If you marry my daughter, your son will inherit everything. No. And he said, no, I won't. He won't inherit, I promise you. He said, yeah, but then his son will. And he didn't know what to say. So Bhishma, Devavrata heard this conversation. And so he thought, if I become celibate, I won't have a son, and that way my father can marry Satyavati. So to fulfill that desire of his father, he made a vow that I will be celibate. And you might think, well, so many 19-year-olds from all over the world said, I want to become a Hare Krishna, I'll become celibate, and no demigods were doing anything. So why is this special? Because he's a Kshatriya. It's not ordinary, he's not a monk, they don't do that. And anyway, who can be celibate their whole life perfectly? That's difficult, and difficult even for Brahmins, what to speak of Kshatriyas. So the gods said, Bhishma, it's like a horrible vow. One devotee told me he was in India, and the devotee was taking sannyas, and these elderly women were there, and they were all crying. He's like 25, and I think it's like he's ruined his life. Take sannyas. No wife, no children, no house, nothing. They were crying. So something like that. What a horrible vow. You'll never be married, you'll never have a home. You're a king. Bhishma. Yeah. Bhishma took another vow, which is a little awkward, and sometimes maybe devotees have a issue with this. But by the will of Providence, Bhishma was being maintained by Duryodhana. And Duryodhana was the bad guy. And so when it came time for the battle of Kurukshetra, Duryodhana's like, are you going to fight on my side? Because, it's the only way we're going to win if you fight on my side. And so the question is, why would he fight against his own grandsons? Like, why would he support Duryodhana? Because socially he had an obligation because he was being maintained by Duryodhana. So it would have been, in a sense, materially unethical, and it seems also Krishna wanted him to be on the other side, to have this lila of kissing Bhishma with arrows. And Bhishma was like, oh, another kiss, because that was his rasa, and so it was special to fight with Krishna. So that rasa was there. But he obviously didn't want to be on Duryodhana's side, but he did it out of obligation. So these are two examples of obligation or duty, the calling that he took, which was against really what he would have wanted to do on his own. So I thought we could talk about that because that's very instructive for us and important for us. In our society, it's obviously common to do what you want when you want. My thermos is in your car.
No.
It's here? Okay, I was afraid you'd drive off with it.
But
I don't really need it. It's okay. Okay. So, as you know, in our society, we value doing what we want, and it's very difficult often to do what we don't want, that we don't like, right? You should do this, I know it's the right thing, but I'm not into it. I can't. That's more or less modern society. You find in Kshatriya society, you'll find that if someone makes a promise, there's no question that they wouldn't follow through on that promise. It's just, that's the cultured, civilized person. When they make a promise, they do it. Okay. Whatever. So when Bhishma made his promise, it wasn't like, yeah, he made a promise, we'll see. No, everybody knew this is it. And does anyone know the story? I can't remember, but there was some story where it would have been beneficial to many people if Bhishma got married. Does anyone know that story? There was a situation, and there was a problem which he could have solved by getting married.
Oh, that was with there was like a Swayamvar, like of Amba, Ambika, Ambalika. There were like three princesses, and there used to be like a competition, and
they all wanted to marry him. Is that it?
So Amba wanted Bhishma to marry him.
Her.
Because he kind of defeated all the princes in that competition. So Amba said that, okay, now you have to marry me. But Bhishma refused because he said that I'm a celibate. And then Amba, she loved a prince who was in the competition also. So Bhishma said that, okay, I will take you to that prince. But I think during the time that when Bhishma was taking all the three princesses with him to Hastinapur, that prince who loved Amba, he encountered them, and there was a war, and Bhishma
killed him?
Yeah, defeated him.
Uh-huh.
And so he felt that, okay, my honor has been taken. And then Amba said that, well, I love that prince. And Bhishma sent Amba to that prince. However, that prince refused to take her because he said that
Bhishma should marry you because he defeated me.
And then Amba came back to Bhishma, asked Bhishma to marry her. However, Bhishma refused. And then Amba took a vow that, okay, in my next birth, I will be responsible for your death. And then
in my next birth, I will.
And then in her next birth, she was born as Shikhandi. who in the war, in Mahabharata war, she
Became his enemy?
yeah, she was her enemy, and then during the war, Shikhandi was in the chariot of Arjuna, and then that was the reason why Bhishma was defeated.
Okay, so we get the basic idea that. Thank
Sorry
you.
for the long.
Thank you. No, that's good. We get the idea that it would have been easier if he just married her. Right?
Yeah, I mean.
And she's probably a princess. She's probably beautiful also, right? Rich and beautiful and intelligent and talented and everything. It would have, would have been easier. So it's a very good example because, sometimes you make a vow, but situations change and you're like, oh, well, it'd be better if I don't do this, and right? So he set the example that, okay, once you make a vow, that's it. You just do it. Otherwise, it's not a vow. What is it? It's just a joke, right? Why'd I'm going to pick you up at 10, and you don't come. Well, why'd you tell me that? I don't know. I just told you. It's like we can't live that way. So
He actually had to fight against his guru, Parshuram, also.
Parshuram wanted him to marry.
Because Amba went to Parshuram also.
Oh, okay.
She said that, okay, he is refusing to marry me. And then Parshuram went to war against Bhishma. And then he had to fight against his own guru to keep his pledge.
Was he shooting like arrows at his feet? Was that the story?
I think so, yeah. I think that's how it ended.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is it definitely wasn't easy. You say you think it's hard to be celibate? Read the story of Bhisma. Yeah. That was really difficult, yeah. So, you could say this is real detachment. Like every opportunity is there, but you aren't going to do it because you promised you wouldn't. So, This is I find this interesting because in our society today, this is not common. It seems like in our society today, if you can't do something that you should do, you've always got some good excuses. That's kind of the norm, right? You promise to do it, but if you have a good excuse, then it's okay. So a promise with a good excuse is still a promise. You didn't really break it because the excuse nullified it. That's kind of what's going on today, right? You ever someone break a promise and they tell you why and say, that excuse wasn't good enough. You have a better one? You're looking for a better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that has become common, I think. Very common. And I think another problem is people don't understand even what it means to make a promise anymore. And it's like the idea of making a promise is that when it's stated, that's it. It just like goes out in the air, the ether, and that promise becomes kind of your integrity manifested in the world. That is like you make the promise, that's you. You said that, and that promise is now who you are. And if you break that promise, you're really breaking yourself, you're breaking your own integrity. You're breaking other people's trust in you, you're breaking your own trust in you, you're kind of like destroying yourself. Did you ever think of that? Yeah. So, in Mahabharata and Bhagavatam, other places, you will see that promises, vows were taken very seriously. That would not be broken. And that was the culture. So Bhismadeva is we need examples. Like, you think, well, what example is Bhismadeva for me? I can't, I'm not a Kshatriya, I don't practice, severe austerities. I don't have the yogic powers he had. What example is he? This is one very good example to meditate on. Prabhupada said something very heavy about vows. Should I tell you? Could depress you. You're ready to be depressed? Basically what he said was, a human being, when they make a vow, they follow it. So someone who makes a vow and doesn't follow it is not a human being. Is an animal. Heavy, right? That's kind of discouraging if you've broken a vow, right? So let me qualify it in some sense. Sometimes Prabhupada would get very heavy, and he wasn't mad. And devotees would be like, Prabhupada. And then a minute later, he'd just be like, chill out, mellow out, it's not the end of the world. But sometimes to make a point, it doesn't get across if it's not made strongly. This is wrong. Why did you do that? You have no brain. There's nothing in there. That's the problem. Prabhupada would say something like that. It's like, can you imagine? Imagine Prabhupada telling you, the problem with you is there's nothing in there. So, maybe you're absent-minded, maybe you're not thinking things through, maybe you're not attentive to details. But after your guru says that, you're going to be attentive to details because it shocked you a bit, right? You might think, that's not appropriate, Prabhupada, I just forgot one thing. But, he wants to make a point, so he makes it. So you learn. So that statement by Prabhupada is like that. It's like, okay, you're all making vows at initiation. You're making vows when you get married, or whatever vows and promises you make. So a civilized person will follow through. And if you're not, you're like an animal, because an animal can't follow a vow. So it's like, whoa, guru is heavy. Shake you up. Prabhupada was heavy because so many initiates were not following the vows, and he was concerned. If you're going to take initiation, you should follow. If you can't follow, don't take initiation. It's not a problem. You can't do something, just don't promise. You're okay. You didn't let anybody down. You didn't let yourself down because you didn't promise. But once you promise, it's like... So, Prabhupada was very adamant about this. And it's like, when someone would break a principle, he'd say, but you promised. Okay, you promised. So now what? What are you made out of? Kind of thing, right? So I think we need that. It's not easy to follow the principles all the time, but we need that. Are you all in anxiety now? No, Prabhu, I'm way beyond anxiety. Yeah. So, and Prabhupada was asked, how do you get the strength to follow your vows? Prabhupada didn't like that question. The reason he didn't like the question was, you made a vow, so once you make the vow, you don't ask how to keep it, because if you go back to the original idea as a civilized human being, once you make the vow, that's it, you just do it. So asking how to do it means you're not doing it. So you don't ask how. That the question itself is flawed. You understand? You're asking how to do something that you've already committed to do. So there's no question of how not to. There's no question of maybe I won't and how can I keep doing it. That you don't ask that question because you're already committed to do it. Right? So I borrow 100,000 euros from Anna. And I pay her 1,000 a month. 1,000 a week for 2 years. After the third week, I say, Anna, how do I get the determination to pay you back? What do you think?
Doesn't sound good.
Think, Mahatma Prabhu must be smoking something. This is not good. And Anna says, what are you talking about? You promised to pay it back. I know about it's difficult. I'm having trouble, like, I'm having trouble letting go of that 1,000 a week. How can I let go? It's like, what kind of crazy question is that to ask? You promised. So that was the problem. Once you commit, you don't ask how to continue committing. There's no question of not, so you wouldn't ask how, because that's what you're doing. Isn't that interesting? So that's what it means to take a vow. And you take the vow because that's what you want to do. Did you know that in Gaudiya Math, it's not Gaudiya Math, it's not Gaudiya Math, it's Gaudiya Math. Gaudiya Math. T with an H, Gaudiya Math. Gaudiya Math. They don't take vows at initiation. Did you know that? Right. Prabhupada instituted that. Like, take this serious, go back to Godhead this lifetime. They say Gaudiya Math, it takes 3 lifetimes to go back to Godhead. Prabhupada wanted us to get back in one. So maybe taking those vows was part of that, do it in one life. Just like it could take you your whole life to follow these vows, just commit and do it now. Let's just do it, Okay, all right, I commit. I'm going to do it. Yes, make the vow. And of course, Prabhupada expected that if he could get his disciples to make the vow, that would be sufficient for them to continue that vow their whole life. And then he saw they weren't doing that. And I don't think he expected it. I think he expected that if you would commit and make the vow, you would do it your whole life. And then he saw the devotees committed, but they weren't following. And he was like, but you committed, you promised. And so he's very heavy on it. Very, very heavy on it. Now, if something is difficult to do, you might think, I don't want to take a vow because it's difficult. Right? That's one way of thinking, right? But the other way of thinking is, I want to take a vow because it's difficult. Because that way I'll do it. If you actually take the vow. Now, if you don't take the vow deeply, then don't take it, because you should not take a vow you can't keep, because you're promising Krishna to pay back the 100,000, and then you call him up a few weeks later. Krishna, I don't think so. Yeah, sorry. I was going to pay you 16 rounds a day, but I'm not going to do it. But that's not good. We don't want to do that. And the Shastra says don't do that. But at the same time, you take a vow to do it because it's difficult, and that may be the only way you can do it. It's just, okay, I'm going to push myself. And if I push myself and I make that commitment deep in my heart, then I'll do it. And that's what keeps you going. So that's the other side of it, right? So vows are important, and they're helpful if you actually make them properly. Then you can do it. Yes. When am I supposed to stop speaking? Or the time? What's the timing?
6:30.
Huh. Somebody have any questions? Yes.
Was Prabhupada ever having to use?
Not personally, because I wouldn't talk in front of him because I thought I'd say something stupid. I spoke once, but I was really afraid. He was heavy. Well, he would tell his secretaries what to write in the letter, and so sometimes they were code words. Like, tell him he's a nonsense was a code word. Like, tell him I'm not going to allow him to do that. So he didn't write, they didn't say Srila Prabhupada said, they wrote it as Prabhupada. So you should not do this, this is not proper, But he's a nonsense for asking this. So I asked Prabhupada if I could take sannyas when I was very young and I had a small child. And he said, if you want to take vanapras, which means don't have any more children, you could do that. But you can't be irresponsible. And he gave practical instruction, say first, graduate out of grihastha ashram before you think of sannyas like that, be responsible, etc. And about 2 years after I got that letter, I was with Prabhupada's secretary who took the dictation and wrote the letter. And he told me what Prabhupada said. Because a lot of devotees were asking for sannyas at that time. They were very frustrated as grihasthas. Grihastha life wasn't exactly the way they thought it was going to be. And sannyas life looked a lot better to a lot of young men. Plus you got the Mahaplate. You had all the Mahaplates you wanted. You got your own room. No brahmacharis had their own room. And you got a servant. That was unheard of. Someone would help you. And no complaints and criticism from your servant, And you didn't have to work. So let's get out of grihastha ashram and just take sannyas. Travel and preach. Sounds good, huh? So Prabhupada was getting a lot of letters like that. So this godbrother of mine, he said, when I read your letter to Prabhupada, I said, Srila Prabhupada's a letter from Mahatma Das, another sannyas letter. And he told me, Prabhupada said, tell him he's a nonsense. So it's about the worst I got. But it wasn't direct, because in the letter, you wouldn't know by reading the letter. As I remember the letter, it wasn't really heavy. But as we observed, sometimes Prabhupada would be heavier to those who could take it, or those who needed it. Those who were closest to him, he expected the most from. And he was also heavy when Krishna was offended, like you made offenses to the deity. If you made offenses to his guru in the sense of not worshipping his guru on his appearance or disappearance day properly, like if something was not done properly, he would get very angry. But I think that was not as much training as his own emotion, like you're offending Krishna. This is intolerable. Offending my guru, this is intolerable. But sometimes, as I said, he would get heavy just because that's the only way we would understand. Because if it's not heavy, how do you know it's important? But it wasn't a lot, and it wasn't to a lot of people. I just heard a story today. This devotee made this huge effort to put on this Pandal program in Jaipur. It was just a few of them. Just a few of them, and she worked really, really hard. And it was advertised, Hare Krishna Movement founder A.C. Bhaktivedanta and his foreign disciples. And Prabhupada said, you should have not said foreign, you should have said American and European disciples. And this devotee is like, I work so hard and I just get chastised. And Prabhupada saw that she was like that. And Prabhupada said, if I don't chastise you, how will you learn? And then he was just joking, like light. So it was like he wasn't angry. He said, how are you going to learn if I don't chastise you? So I think that was the only time I got chastised.
If Prabhupada was really, really angry, he wouldn't say anything. Would be like silent.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. I wasn't around enough. I think a lot of devotees wouldn't be able to handle it. This one devotee I may have told you this story. He was guarding Prabhupada's room, and he'd never done the service before. It's basically like, don't just let people come in to Prabhupada's room. So that's what it means to guard, more or less. If there's any problem, you would call Prabhupada's servants or secretaries. So he's guarding the room, and Prabhupada's ringing. Prabhupada has a buzzer for his servant or his secretary, and he's ringing the buzzer, and nobody's coming. And the buzzer wasn't for the devotee outside, but he didn't know what to do because nobody was coming, and he thought, well, I shouldn't go inside because I'm just the guard outside. And Prabhupada came to the door and said, you don't hear the buzzer? I'm buzzing, you're just sitting there, and I have to come to the door? I have to come to the door? I am the guru, you're the disciple, and I have to come to the door to you like that? That was the first thing Prabhupada ever said to this devotee. And maybe the last thing. He said, this is the first interaction I had with my guru. Wow. Devastated. Well. So, when Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta, he got chastised because somebody was talking to him. And Prabhupada looked to them and said, you want to give the lecture? You know more than I do. So, and Prabhupada said, that was like the greatest blessing. I was so happy to be chastised by my guru. But, some of us are more sensitive and it would be harder. Some are hardest. You probably have heard this story. There was a devotee named Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was temple commander in Los Angeles. Maybe this was 1968 or 69. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj can be heavy and controlling and proud all at once. I mean, he knows it, we all know it, it's just the way he was. And I don't know what was happening, maybe some Prabhupada saw his nature or devotees had complained. And Prabhupada was with him in the room, and Prabhupada said, in every universe there are innumerable planets. And there are innumerable universes. And it's one universe. There's the Earth planet. And on the Earth planet, there's this country, United States, and in this country, there's this place called California. And in California, there's this city called Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, there's a street called La Cienega. And on La Cienega, there is one church converted to a Hare Krishna temple. And in this one church, there's one Tamal Krishna Das Brahmachari, and he's thinking he's very important. Hare Krishna. Tamal Krishna said, he had this habit, whenever Prabhupada talked to him, he would say, I know. I know. And Prabhupada said, you know. You always say you know. It's like, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj lost Prabhupada's key. Prabhupada had a key that would open a safe to get in, another key that would open another drawer to get in to get another key, like 4 keys away. And he lost that key. I think that's when Prabhupada said, the problem with you is there's nothing up here. Two devotees were cooking or something, they couldn't do something right, and Prabhupada said, problem with you too is you're completely useless. So it's like, so there's that tradition, the Guru chastises, he criticizes, that's what he's supposed to do. So that's what he did, but with the ladies, it was rare, they'd have to do something pretty bad. And the thing is, you never knew when he would chastise, because sometimes you didn't know you did anything wrong, or you thought you did something, or someone did something wrong, and he wouldn't chastise. So he was, also evaluating the situation. But in the Shastra it says you should not be close to the deity or close to the Guru, because you can offend them. So you stay a little further away. So I was always like, Mahatma, don't say anything, because it's going to be stupid. And you're going to get chastised, and everyone's going to look at you thinking, why did you ask such a stupid question? Sometimes devotees would ask something, and everybody's looking at them like that. Like, why did you ask that question? That's such a... It's just going to bother Prabhupada. So, yeah. You know, for us to be in his presence was enough. Have his service was enough. I mean, mostly I got just like, I'm happy with what you're doing. I tell him what I was doing. So very good. Keep doing it. I'm happy. Increase it. That was just general mood, you know. Encourage people. Good, good, good. I'm very pleased. Please continue. Increase. Thank you. Lots of thank yous.
Is there anything you would like to, like in the 50 years you've been a devotee, anything you would like to ask him personally?
Oh, now? Oh,
Yeah.
I would spend all day now. But it's all in relation to the movement, you know. Decisions. Should we do this? Should we do that? Why this? Yeah. Every Prabhupada disciples like beats themselves up. Why didn't we ask these questions when he was here? I think the only one who asked those questions, aside from a few GBC meetings, was Yogeshwar. Yogeshwar asked the questions that nobody asked. And he would describe some of the questions he had asked. And I think, yes, such a good question. Unfortunately, I can't remember what he asked right now. So I'm letting you down. But when he would sometimes describe a question, I said, that's a great question. He's the only one to ask it. We didn't have enough foresight. To you know, sometimes you can't predict the future. You can't imagine it. So you wouldn't imagine, well, I know this is going to happen in the future, so I should ask now. You know, it's like Prabhupada said, okay, you 11 officiating Charya, and then, you know, then they'll become your disciples when I go. It's like, okay, that's clear. Like, who thought that that was going to be contested? There's going to be a Ritvik movement. There's going to be doubts, you know. 16 rounds is 4 enough, but Prabhupada, you know, nobody's really following everything. Can we adjust? And nobody had. The movement was so like powerful and strong, and everybody was following, and everything seemed simple when Prabhupada was here. Yeah, okay, we'll be gurus. Yeah, no problem. You take things for granted when your spiritual master's here, because he's figuring everything out for you. You don't have to think much. And then he goes and it's like, oh, what do we do now? I don't know. What do we do? Ask him. I don't know. You know, we knew everything until Prabhupada left. Now we don't know anything. It was a little bit like that. Or we thought we knew everything and we didn't. Yeah. I'm speechless. Just looking at you is making me speechless. Yes?
How do you, like you say, you didn't have that much direct contact with Prabhupada, and I know that there are, for example, Niranjana Maharaj, he said he's never even met Prabhupada.
Wow.
He just saw, the closest he saw him when he was in the car, and the car with Prabhupada passed by.
Uh-huh.
So that was the closest contact for him.
Uh-huh.
So how do you then, because for
Okay.
me, for example, I haven't seen my guru for 5-6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to,
Mhm.
I mean, I listen to classes and things like that, but it's difficult to
Yeah.
get close to. So how
Yeah.
do you
How do I?
keep
Well,
that closeness to Prabhupada? And
when Prabhupada was here, we would get to see him like once a year for a few days. That would be where I lived. He would come every year. He'd come to Los Angeles for a week. Or you go follow him. And so for most devotees, that was like enough. Because our relationship was service. So get a little inspiration. And then the connection was service. So we felt close through service. And hearing. And through, I mean, everyone in the movement was either a god brother or a god sister. So that made a difference. It makes actually a big difference, because if Prabhupada weren't at the temple, but everyone who's at the temple is his disciple, and they manifest Prabhupada. So it wasn't like he's not at the temple. It was like, it's much different now, as I remember it. Here's all your God brothers and God sisters telling you what Prabhupada said, telling you what he wants, serving that mission. So it was kind of like he was always there, really. You know, he was never like, there was no interference. Someone else was trying to replace him and diverting our attention. So we just felt very close, just being together and serving. You know, that was our connection, and that's why some devotees, when Prabhupada came, they didn't really feel the need to like try to like hang around with him. They felt closer serving. And they were just inspired to hear the class and then just serve all day. So it's because they developed that. So for a lot of us it was easy because that's how we related. So, you know, when he left, obviously it was difficult, but our main relation was already in service. And I've personally found that the more I take responsibility to help spread Krishna consciousness, specifically within Prabhupada's framework and specifically within his movement, I feel the more I do that, the closer I feel. Because it's like you're his employee now, you know, directly, you know. Or let's say you're taking care of deities at a temple. Those are his deities, you know, directly or indirectly. It's his temple, you know, he wants these deities maintained, so you can feel a direct connection. Or these are his books, obviously. Or this is his temple. You know, when I do something that would solve a problem in ISKCON or help strengthen it, I feel like, okay, Prabhupada, I did something for you. This is your movement, I'm doing something to help it become healthier. So I feel very close that way. And so, like, I could be doing something and it's very difficult and the problem's very big, but if I'm solving the problem, I feel good, even though it's difficult, because I feel like, well, Prabhupada, we solved another problem for you. That's one less problem you have to worry about, kind of, you know. So that's how I experience it. And also can I offer something to him that he wants? It's like, here, Prabhupada. This is what I've done today. This is what I've done this week. This is what I can offer you. I helped this devotee solve this problem. I gave this donation here. I gave this class, or whatever it might be. And you feel close. It's just, it's nourishing his movement, or nourishing people who are coming to this movement. Yeah, if somebody comes, I'll take care of them. I feel close to Prabhupada. He would want me to do that, like that. And reading his books, of course. That's me personally, how I feel, how I stay close. You know, it's almost like, might sound weird, but it's almost like subconsciously, like when a problem comes, it's like, oh good. Now I can get closer to Prabhupada now because this is a problem within his movement, and I can work to solve it. And then if I do, it's like, oh, I just did something good. Put it on my resume, you know, my CV. I solved this problem. I saved this situation, which could have gotten worse. I helped improve this temple. I helped help this devotee do better, or whatever. So then I feel like, okay, we're good. We're connected. And some of that's just following the instruction. He wants me to think this way or whatever, and I do it. It's not difficult to feel close. Praying to him. You know, problems are good, because problems means you have service. Because you can solve a problem, that's service. If there are no problems, what are we going to do? Just eat? There's no non-devotees. Okay, business is finished. Everyone's going back to God. Okay. Nothing to do. I'm getting bored here. You know? All those problems are like blessings. Right? Like we have a problem in Amsterdam. There's no temple. Just a little rented place. So, you know, it's not easy to make it happen, but if we could make it happen, it's like, wow. I could say Prabhupada, you know. Do I get 5 gold stars for that one? We raised the money, we built a temple, and, you know, what about it? Of course. That would be nice. Or you take care of the deities in the temple. Prabhupada, we haven't had Radha Krishna here, and I used to have Radha Krishna here. Is that?
They went to Bangladesh.
Yeah. They went to Radha Desh.
I think so.
Yeah. So, you know, let's say you brought another set of Radha Krishna deities and you're the Pujari. So, Prabhupada, we have Radha Krishna, you know, it's like, so you feel connected. Then you become the first Pujari of the new Radha Krishna deity. So that's kind of prestigious. You were there for installation, you helped with it. Wow, that's nice. Or whatever. You designed the kitchen, and that come back in 30 years ago, I designed that kitchen. You know, it's such a good design, and nothing changed. You know? I was just thinking about, the other day, I was thinking about these kinds of things. Like, what could I do? You know, what could I do that would be of significance? You know, according to my ability. And many years ago, when I was in California, I noticed that where you register your vehicles, at least in California, Los Angeles, there's quite a lot of people going in and out of there. And it's a state property. You go and you get your driver's license or you register your car license. There's like all day people are going in. And I thought, that would be a good place to distribute books. And so when I was the Sankirtan leader, we were able to negotiate and get permission legally through court because it's a public place, it's state property. And then we started distributing books. And then I don't know what year that was. That must have been the late 70s, early 80s. And then I came back, I'd been outside of LA, and then I came back in 96. And devotees were still going there. And I was like, oh, I'm still getting bonus points. They're still using that, you know? So it's like, you know, sometimes you can do one service and it's just like, maybe that's why I'm still a devotee, you know? Or in my case, I make recordings or write books, so it could, you know, people are like, yeah, I got that when I was 3 years old, I heard that recording. I've been listening to it for 85 years. And you're like, okay, bonus points, you know? So, yeah, I was just thinking of that today, like, what? I was actually thinking of the temple here. That's what I was thinking of. If I could be in any way instrumental to pulling off like that, I was like, that's like, yeah, I could use those bonus points now. You know, I have certain goals and I think, okay, if I could do this, this, and this, then when I die, I'll be like, okay, I'm ready. That was like, I did it, you know? So, you know, little things, thoughts like that, yes. According to you and who you are and what's practical. And sometimes it's little things, you know, just like, you keep your house clean. You say, oh, Prabhupada wanted me to keep it clean, or he didn't want us to put dishes in the sink or separate for the deities, or whatever you do. And you're like, yeah, that's a connection, even though it's simple. Right? Yeah. Yeah. They also say that in South Africa because they kind of corrupted your language down there. Afrikaans, yeah, Dutch colony, Afrikaans. Yeah. You go down there, that's what they say. They say it exactly like that. Yeah.
More like y'all. Y'all.
Yo. Down in South Africa, it's more yo.
Y'all.
Yo. You're from there?
No, from India, but just good with remembering.
In India, ya is this.
Everything.
We were young brahmacharis, we'd go to India and we'd call the Indians squiggly wigglies. We were so entertained by Indians. So. We're like 25 years old, yeah. Not like serious, making fun, yeah. All right, what else?
It's okay.
If if you can make a devotee laugh, you make advancement. Did you know that? It's stated in Shastra. Because you're giving pleasure to devotees. So if we can make a joke at your expense, you make advancement. Okay, stand up here, we'll make jokes on you. No, only kidding. So if you can do something and make Prabhupada smile, that's your perfection. It's so simple. That was the example that Prabhupada set. He was just trying to make Bhaktisiddhanta smile. I mean, that's like... Prabhupada set some pretty clear examples. It's amazing how many people didn't see them or didn't want to see them. But there's some things that are so strikingly clear that he was not focused on his own liberation, but he was focused on executing the order of his guru to the T perfectly. That's where his consciousness was. And kind of teaching that if you do that, then all perfection comes from that. And if you do everything else but you don't do that, then it doesn't work. So if we can please Prabhupada, that's like, okay, we're good. Everything is taken care of. You'll understand everything, you'll get all the mercy you need, everything.
Even if your guru is not Prabhupada?
Yeah. So, you want to hear the story? The story. I told you the story, right? Yeah. Tamakasha Maharaj had an operation, so they gave him anesthesia. During anesthesia, he had a dream that Prabhupada met all the previous acharyas and he was giving them a Sankirtan report, how the preaching is going. And he was saying, well, it's Kali Yuga, these people are they're pretty bad. They're not very intelligent, they're not so spiritually inclined, they can't do austerity, they have so many problems. He said, but they like to serve the pure devotee. That was the dream. Could you imagine having a dream like that? I was jealous when I heard that dream. I never had a dream like that. What's wrong with me? So he had this operation in India. I don't know what it was. When he came out of the operating room, Prabhupada was in his room waiting for him. And Prabhupada said, I came too late. I wanted to stop the operation and tell you to do it in America, not in India. Anyway, it worked out, I guess. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I had this dream. And he told Prabhupada the dream. And Prabhupada, and he said, Prabhupada, is this true? And Prabhupada said, it is so. It is like this. So when I heard that, I thought, this is really interesting. Serving the pure devotee. It's like Prabhupada's like saying, that what's the word? It's like it eliminates all the negativity. You serve the pure devotee. You serve his mission, you understand his heart and mind, and you do that. It's kind of like all those other things don't matter, because that's such a good quality. And if that weren't true, Prabhupada wouldn't have stayed. He would have said, this is useless, these people are useless. You ever feel useless? What's this Krishna consciousness? It's not for me, Westerners. It's like, no, you serve a pure devotee, everything comes. Or you serve your guru who's helping serve a pure devotee. Same thing. Do both. So I feel like, whoa, anything I can do, make Prabhupada smile, that's like money in the bank. Something like that. Bhakti in the bank, yes.
it's funny that you're describing that because here you're invited by this family, and they are actually now building a temple here in Den Haag, and they actually invited you to come over earlier. They're still going on. The construction is going on.
Yeah, I heard about it. Nice. Get special mercy if you build a temple. You might even get more mercy if you maintain it, because that's harder. But you build a temple, so many people benefit from it. I was in India and Delhi years ago. They were building a temple someplace, I don't know where. We walked in the temple. It was a construction site, but they had, I think they had installed deities because the temple, it wasn't finished, but the hall and the altar were there. It was all cement. On the floor was cement, the walls. And there were 500 people there at the Sunday feast. That's India, yeah. Still building the temple and 500 people come. And then I went to a temple in Dwarka. You know in Delhi there's a place called Dwarka. Is it Dwarka or New Dwarka? It wouldn't be. Dwarka, yeah. So I went to that temple like maybe a year after they opened it. And I said, what's your congregation? They said, well, like 3,000 people. I go, oh, so you mean a lot of people from the other Delhi temples moved into this? I said, no, it's just new people. So you know, what were those new people doing? Where were they? And you build a temple and all of a sudden there's 2,000 people. So, you know, that's like a lot of bhakti points in the bank for service like that. You know? Not that you have to, but it's nice. If all else fails, we're going to get a boat, and the temple is going to be on the boat, and the boat's going to be a different place every night. Different programs every night.
There's a boat now in Belgium.
Is there?
They're building a temple inside.
Really? We're going to get it down here? They're going to bring it here? We could steal it once they finish building it.
Belgium.
Where's Ghent? Yeah, where's Ghent?
Belgium.
Also in Belgium, thank you. This is
So, yeah. You make nice prasadam, all the devotees are happy, you benefit. Dress the deities nicely, everyone's happy, you benefit. Give a nice class, everyone's happy, you benefit. And these things are all pleasing to Prabhupada. This is what he wanted. You know, he wanted us to train devotees, guide them. So anybody can do it, not just a guru or a senior devotee, anybody can do it. And you get bhakti points for that. It's actually simple. We complicate it. It's pretty simple to please Prabhupada. We do Kirtan, we think of Prabhupada, he brought Kirtan. Take prasadam, we think of Prabhupada, he brought prasadam. You know, everything reminds you of Prabhupada. You chant japa, you think Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah? What do you think? This is what I think. I think I like to do something of some significance, some value, and then invite Prabhupada to, Prabhupada, check it out. Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. You know, there's 10,000 people in the audience. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I know what he thinks. It's like, yeah, you want to get a pat on the back. You know, okay, you did good job, right? But I'll tell you a story which was very. I really felt Prabhupada's presence. We must have been 1971. We took the first traveling Sankirtan party in the middle of the winter in Canada to a place called Edmonton. It was very exciting to be the first devotees anywhere at a time when the movement is young and people don't even know about it. So it's like double exciting because you just go into a new city and it's like, who are you guys? What planet did you fall from? you know, so unusual. So I was going in the university office to see professors, and I met an Indian professor. He was a little older, like probably younger than I am now, but I was only 21, so when you're 21, everybody's older than you, right? But he was probably 50s. And when he saw me, he had like ecstatic symptoms, because he was really a bhakta, you know. And he started chanting Govinda Jai Jai, sitting in the professor's office, Govinda Jai Jai. He was crying. He goes, I used to chant this with my grandmother. This is the best days of my life. Yeah. And he said, why don't we have a Hindu society? Why don't you do a program? You can come and do a program. And I had no interaction with Hindus up to that point. At that point in America, there weren't many Indians. The Prabhupada, when he got his visa, whatever year that was, 67, that was like the first time Indians ever could get a visa for America. Did you know that? When Prabhupada came, that's when they started giving Indians visas to America. Before that, you couldn't get them. So they rented some hall or some place. I don't know. I remember exactly where it was. They said, we want you to cook halava. They gave me the recipe. I cooked the halava. They said it was the best halava they ever had. I am the #1 halava cooker in ISKCON. If you want to know how to make halava, talk to me. So we spent the whole day shaving our heads, polishing our heads, reshaving, repolishing, washing our dhoti, ironing it again, putting on our tilak, take it off, put it on better, you know. So we came in, you know, no wrinkles in our dhoti, completely, you know, shiny bald heads, sikas. You know, we were effulgent. And there's this whole hall of Indians. I never really talked to Indians before. I didn't know what to do. And I sat down there to give the talk, and I felt like Prabhupada was sitting right here. It's like, good job. Give it to him. You know? I don't know what I said, but at the end, the organizer said, we feel like we're in a temple in India in the presence of sadhus. And when he said that, I said, Prabhupada, I did it. Yeah. That's how I felt. I felt like I won this one for you, Prabhupada. So that was the kind of how Prabhupada's disciples felt. It's like, we won this one. You know, you get a new temple thing. We got it for you, Prabhupada, you know. New Mayapur, you know, that was gotten whenever, 75, 76. So it's like, Bhagavan, no, maybe later, but Bhagavan said, you know, I always just felt like I could show this to Prabhupada, you know. So a lot of big buildings, you know, it was like, okay, we did it for you, Prabhupada, you know. It's like whatever you could do. Little thing, big thing, middle-sized thing. Okay, Prabhupada, look what I did. You know, I went here, I did this. Hopefully I made things a little better. Like that, you know. I love introducing new people to Kirtan, not because I like to chant, but because I feel like, wow, check this out, Prabhupada. These people never chanted before, now they're chanting. It's like, you know, bhakti points, you know, you get a lot of bhakti points for that. We went on Harinam the other day here in Amsterdam, the Sankirtan Harinam capital of the three worlds. So many people chant and so many people hear. And I'm thinking, wow, such an honor to be able to introduce the holy name to people. You know, just like to have that, you know. That's not difficult, and you do it, and you get so much mercy. So whenever I can introduce the holy name to new people, I feel so special. Like this is a special service, and I always feel Prabhupada's happy. And you brought the holy name to people. You could be sitting at home, you know, looking at your phone, eating popcorn, but you're out there and giving people the holy name. So what, you know, what an honor, a blessing like that. And I think it was 1969. Yeah, it was 1969. I went to the LA temple for the first time in December, and everybody went out on Harinam to Hollywood, till who knows, midnight or something crazy. And Prabhupada drove out there to see the Harinam party, and I was there, and he drove up. I hadn't joined yet, and he drove up, and he's like, You know, he's like so happy to see. You know, just to be out in Harinam, Prabhupada's happy. You know, it's like, well, bonus points just for, you know, getting your body out there. You know. So, I think all those ways make it easy. You know, to please Prabhupada and just say, look, Prabhupada, what I did here. This is for you. Even if it's one book. Whatever. Yes? Good. Yeah. What else do you want to know here? See. You have 4 minutes until countdown, till blast off. In 4 minutes we blast into Damodar Astaka, is that it? Okay.
Is there anything Prabhupada wanted to realize which hasn't happened yet?
Well, yeah, that all of us become Krishna conscious. It's waiting for that. I mean, you know, the general answer you'll get to that question is Varnashram, but you could take it further and say, yeah, you know, countries becoming Krishna conscious, judges wearing tilak, devotees running, you know. I mean, take it as far as you want. That's what he would like to see. Whether we can do it or it's possible, even, that's another question, but certainly. He would be very happy if we had influence with important people and we could change people's lives by the millions instead of by the hundreds. But at the same time, maintaining our own purity. That's no small thing. And that he always emphasized and he always wanted. So we always have to keep that in mind.
I was thinking about the temple in Mayapur, for example. It's something
definitely
talked about already.
Yeah,
back
definitely.
Then,
Or the whole city, whole Mayapur turning into a city. It's part of the whole project, yeah. Book distribution, Mayapur. Making devotees, taking care of them. Influencing the way people think, that's really what he wanted to do. Because atheism is always growing and he was concerned about it. Right? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhismadeva ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai, Jagannath Dals ki jai, Gaurnitai Dals ki jai, Gaurnitai. And who's in the middle? I can't see. Is that Damodar? Radha Damodar ki jai. And we have oranges ki jai. So oranges on the altar. Ki jai. Maybe they're incarnations that we haven't heard about yet. Our host will have to tell us about the orange incarnation. The orange avatar. Hare Krishna. Yes. Well, tonight's the last night. I'll be leaving back to America. I will miss you all, but I won't miss the weather. I'm happy to leave the weather here for you all to enjoy. And I will go back tomorrow morning, but it was nice. And we're making some plans to revolutionize the preaching in Amsterdam. It'll never be the same again. But we haven't revealed the plans yet. Yes, yeah.
Prabhu, can you please bless the Hague Yatra as well?
Bless you so you make this temple happen.
Please come also when the opening is there.
When? Oh, you're not sure yet.
So we'll hope in
Next year.
Next year during Janmashtami, hopefully.
Oh, that'd be nice. Oh, fantastic.
Right?
Beautiful. Thank you.
We need your lovely association, Prabhuji, if you could come next year.
We'll see where I am in August.
Yes.
Anything's possible.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sisi Radha Damodar ki jai. Go Premanandi. Damodar.
If you can do the first.
Oh, the first? Okay. Hare Krishna.